And no change expected. And I think you were talking earlier about the possibility of this rousing the yen selling forces. How do you think this is going to play out today?
Well, we are having some interesting news this morning, Kathleen. You've just mentioned the extra spending now that the government's talking about putting into the economy to offset inflation. That wouldn't necessarily lend itself to a central bank tightening. And of course, we had inflation data on the other side of the ledger coming out of Tokyo showing core inflation continuing to rise, which of course will stoke the other side of the debate. But the broad picture for the BOJ is that they're not expected to change their core policy settings. The negative rate is expected to stay negative. Governor Curran is expected to continue his commentary about offering support to the economy. He's not a believer that inflation is taking off. Much of it is based on imported energy prices and the like. The big discussion point today is what language or what signal will they send around the yen. And the context there is that the government of Japan is spending tens of billions of dollars on buying its own currency. And given now that they're also having to spend money supporting their own economy, you have to think some people are saying maybe there are better ways to spend money than supporting the yen. That's why there's pressure on the Bank of Japan to maybe tweak its language a little bit, offer some kind of a helping hand to the currency. So there's going to be a lot of focus there on whether or not Governor Curran does tweak his language a bit. But as I say, the broad expectation is no change on the core policy settings. If there is a change, it's expected to be to do with the yen, and that's where there is potential for some surprise.
Yeah, this is the tension, isn't it? Because we did see even in those draft stimulus plans, Enda, that the government was clearly expecting the BOJ to think more and consider more when it comes to the currency side of things. Are we starting to see this tug of war play out between governments and central banks in terms of conflicting priorities?
Well, it's a very confusing time for policymakers everywhere. Heidi, there's no doubt about it. You even heard the ECB last night. You heard Madame Lagarde talking about the need to continue to raise interest rates because of inflation, but she's also saying a recession is quite likely. And there's also similar commentary in other developed central banks and finance ministries around the world. In some cases, finance ministries and central banks are going in opposite directions because it is a pretty unusual set of circumstances that all these policymakers are facing at the moment, and that is stoking tension, and we probably saw that most vividly with the UK blow up a few weeks ago. So that's why I think there is a lot of scrutiny today on the BOJ. Are they going to row in and offer some support to MOF in terms of what they're doing with the yen, or will they continue to go their own route and of course lend itself to more dovish language, which of course would tell people to go off and sell the yen, which is obviously not what the government wants. So there is tension, there is cross purposes at play here. But it must be said that things are pretty complicated for policymakers at the moment too.